Welcome to that spiritual, actual, factual answers to questions you're asking. You find them inside you, recite you, reciting the records of cash. We laughing, we drafting the passion to vary. It's time for that comedy, dramedy, all of the fanciest, catchiest acronyms. Listeners, listen, we traveling. Conscious is always unraveling. The reading you're having is mapping you back to your natural habitat. Abracadabra, it's magic, let's basking it. To top it off, the host, all the classiest. Now, what were you asking for? All of the answers? What? All the answers.
Desmond, I am using, now that I'm recording, I'll say this again, I'm using a non-squeak chair, and it means I have to raise the microphone on these boxes of business cards. Check, check, check. That seems good. Look at that.
All right.
Look at me functioning like a functioning podcaster.
Yeah.
700 years in, I'm figuring it out.
Slowly but surely. Someday a swing arm.
Yes, not that hard. I own one somewhere in this building.
Yep. I'm away from my home setup, so I'm using a secondary microphone that's not near as good. But
For shame.
for shame on me. I don't think
So
my
you're-
chair will creak. I'm staying in Livermore sort of a few days a week while I'm in rehearsal just to avoid the driving back and forth. And I'll actually come home after rehearsal tonight.
Okay. And how's it all going? How's the show?
Fine. You know, it's still like, ugh. It's in the moment where I'm like, oh, is this going to be good?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? And then you just have to sort of let go and do your damn work.
Right. What's your thing about that? Like, different actors are different about like for me, it's like whenever I was in a show that I was like, it's almost intolerable.
Mm-hmm. There are moments.
But you seem really more chill about it.
Well, I would say that there are moments where I worry,
Mm-hmm.
but then, I think past me would have been a little more worked up about it.
Okay.
Current me is a little more on the sort of serenity prayer tip of like, all I can do is step to my own work.
Yeah.
And raise the level of my own work.
Right.
Within and with the people that I'm interacting with, raise the level of that work just by being as good an actor as I can.
Right.
I cannot control the rest of it. So the intolerability is just like, okay, I guess I also, and then there's always the thing of like, you know, there have been every time, especially in a comedy, I'll go, this isn't funny. And Rami pointed out to me a while back, like I literally say that like 2 weeks before or a week before.
Every show.
Every time I'm in a comedy.
Yeah.
Like 100% of the time without fail.
Makes sense because when you're rehearsing jokes over and over and over, they're not funny anymore to you.
Right. Or they haven't gotten funny yet is the other problem sometimes.
Mm.
Because we're still in that sort of like, right now it feels constipated, where you're squeezing out each beat and line and just like, oh, this scene. But that is to say that things are going well enough that like when things are flowing, I'm like, oh, there's a good scene. And then that just points out the stuff that isn't going well even better. You're like, oh, we have it in us to have this bright flow.
Right.
So when we are squeezing out a tiny turd, just you're really aware of that.
I see. Mm-hmm. Makes total sense.
I'm just trying to let go and let God.
What do you do? We've talked about a version of this question before, but I want to know. I had a thing recently where, let's see. What do you do when you go see a show? We've talked about this, but like, this is a more specific question that you really, really think is not handled well. Mm-hmm. Like it's not good.
Yeah.
But people you love are in it.
Yep.
And like, they are very happy about it.
Yeah. I question whether they actually are, to be honest.
But like, what about a situation where they're like, oh my God, it's like a dream. It's like everything I've wanted, the way we work together, how funny it is. I'm so happy to be part of this. Like, just can't be happier. And you're like, why though?
Yeah, I think then you just get to be the person who goes like, not my jam. I'm just going to let that one exist on its own.
No, but I mean, what do you say to them?
I'm so glad you had such an awesome experience.
Yeah.
That is so exciting. How fucking great for you.
Right.
And you can even say it in a way that doesn't sound couched, where you go like, well, I'm glad you had an awesome experience.
Oh, that's fucked up. Yeah.
Like, oh my God, that's so great that you had such a great time. That's so satisfying, isn't it? Or,
Yeah.
and just engage on that level. How good for them to have had that experience. Yeah. I mean, and then there's I went and saw, and I feel like I can talk shit about a major theater and not feel like I'm trashing anything. Went and saw Galileo at Berkeley Rep.
Oh, I've heard things that aren't.
The audience was losing their fucking minds over. Just, so good. Oh my God, I love how they're just yelling at us the entire time with no variation in tone and no emotional modulation whatsoever or musical anything but one sound and one theme the whole play. I love that because Raul Esparza is doing it and he's a star and he's really good at it. So clearly that's what it's supposed to be. And me and Denise are watching it and literally squeezing each other's hands, enjoying ourselves, but for the wrong reasons.
Or for different reasons.
Yeah, let's just say different reasons. Just going, then this is going to be that now. Oh, great.
Yeah. I had a challenge recently where I saw a show and I always think I'm covering my hate when I have hate, and I apparently wasn't, because afterwards I said to someone else, not the people in the show, like, I had a really hard time with that one. And they had been at the show and they were like, I know, I saw you there. And I was like, oh no. I was doing everything in my power to just be like, and we're neutral. And I was not neutral, apparently. That's a challenge.
And then they can't all be winners. I can feel good about
and you
work.
Can't like everything, and you don't have to like everything. And I don't think you do, but It's a fun thing to talk about because it's one of those tension points in life where you're like, how much of truth is needed in this moment?
Yeah.
There's a 12-step saying. They say, let's see, is it kind? Is it useful? Is it necessary?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So, your feedback about whether something was good or not is generally not going to be
useful,
probably not kind, and not necessary.
Definitely not necessary. Yeah.
Now, like there was recently a situation where I saw a show and there were certain things about the performances where it frustrated me.
Yeah.
Because I have strong feelings about the way certain things were approached. And then one of the actors was like, "Oh my God, I'm so glad you came. I respect you as a person who understands this sort of thing, and it's so great that you saw it." And I see a lot of potential in this particular actor, but I got feedback if you want it, and it would improve. It would be useful to you to give you this feedback, but I'm not there with that person. We don't have that agreement.
Right.
And they didn't specifically ask for it.
Right.
But in my heart, I'm like, I could coach you better.
Sure. Yeah, sure. I feel that way 100% of the time.
And I would be willing to, and I'd be happy to. It'd be my joy because I think you have potential as an actor, and here are the pitfalls that you're falling into or that your director is leading you into is often what the case is.
Yeah. Yeah. What are you going to do?
So that would be useful, kind, and necessary.
If they ask.
If they ask.
Yeah.
Is it consensual? Should be the
oh, that's good.
Or requested. Is it requested? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Is it useful?
Yeah. Tangent, not related to that in any way. I don't know if I've said this on here, but we're house hunting. Have I said that out loud here?
You might have, but
yeah. Well, boy, howdy. It's for me with emotional definition and being romantically involved with someone with open solar plexus, who that means like he has no fixed, consistent, reliable emotional center. He's not an emotions guy. I mean, he has them. He's a human.
Right.
But what it also means is he amplifies my feelings. So whenever we're together, my feelings are bigger for both of us. Fun times. So it's just, man, it's been activating us and triggering for both of us. And I had a realization yesterday. We saw this like incredible house that we agreed 100% on, which was like it was our favorite one. We were like, we could really live here. This is perfect. And we both don't like the neighborhood. And we're like, fuck. it's just because there's so many. We've seen so many.
Yeah.
And it's hard work and it takes time and energy and you have other stuff you want to be doing.
Yeah.
And then we discovered yesterday we were having an argument and we were doing a good job toward the end of it, like being like, all right, now, we like did a good job. But at the end of it, I said, that we've had an argument after seeing every house we've gone to see, we've had an argument. And I don't have an insight on that yet. I was asking yesterday, like, actually, it's not entirely true that I have no insights. What it is I have an insight that I can't feel yet. I get a yes, but I can't feel the truth of it yet. I was asking, should I take this as like a sign, which is what people do who are spiritual.
Right.
Everything's a sign to do a thing or not do a thing based on what you already think anyway.
Right.
Is it a sign not to get a house?
Based on what you already think. Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going to call that out. That's
yeah.
funny.
It's not that, is it a sign to not move forward? No. Is it a sign he doesn't want to? No. Is it me and not wanting to? No. Am I sabotaging it? No. Is he sabotaging it? No. Okay. Is this just normal stuff that comes up when you buy a house? Yes. And then I go, okay, well, I don't like all this stuff. I don't want all this stuff coming up. And it's just tension points, like a lot of tension points. And then I'm like, okay, well, each time we go through something, it does seem to yield learning and such. So I guess that's good. I don't know. Sometimes I go, I don't know that I'm like, this is the part of me that is still where I identify with addicts and alcoholics. Because, I talk a lot about I don't really feel like I identify with that whole system anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go to meetings and I don't say I'm powerless over this or that. But there are so many things about the 12-step rooms and the recovery principles that I do identify with. And there are certain things about, quote, quote, being an addict that I really identify with, which are like the sensitivity levels being high and also the feeling of, I don't really need all this relating, all this like emotional connection with people, relating. I'm a 6'2" with a lot of individual circuitry. It's like I'm meant to be creating something unique on a hill by myself.
Yeah.
And I'm overstating it because nothing is that simple. And of course,
because you're also in partnership and that is also something you want and desire.
And I have a 6 line and 6 lines are transpersonal and whatever. So anyway, the first thing that comes up for me is like, this is not worth, this is a lot of work. And then I think about like some relationships I see where it's like, they're not working that hard. They seem pretty peaceful and there's not a lot of work all the time. And then anyone I say that to is like, yeah, but we did that our first couple years. We did all that work. Now we're chilling. Or they go like, oh, there's work. It's just behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's just hidden.
But then some people seem to really just not have any. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, so many things about the different ways in which that could be true or false. Yes, there are going to be the people that you perceive as not having that tension, and they're going to be like, "Oh, honey, you just don't see it." It's it's like the Facebook problem. It's like people's lives are not at all what they appear to be on social media. But that's not what you're talking about. You're talking about witnessing them personally, probably, or talking to them.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have the people who don't because they're disconnected.
Right. Or they're twos.
Or they're just shut down. And so they're just like, well, this is the relationship I'm in and this is where we're at. And this is the future that I see before me. And I'm just not going to do anything about it. So we're not going to engage out of sort of fear or complacency.
Right. Or they're twos.
So they're both taking care of each other?
Or one of them is a 2, the one I'm friends with. Who knows? I'm just saying, like, I find that twos...
Or they're 9s. If they're both 9s, then neither one of them exists, so there's no opinions to be had.
No problems. No problems.
Though total problems and complete denial of problems, but...
Yeah, but 2s, I bring up the example of 2s because they really do seem capable of this, like, love thing. You're supposed to, like, love each other.
Because I have the image of 2s of being, like, a lot of work. Because they're always needing to, be acknowledged for the work they're doing to take care of everything,
But if you can acknowledge it for them a little bit, and if they're a healthy 2,
right?
I don't know. Sometimes I just think this world thinks an LTR is like the like gold standard of you're doing well.
100%. Like you're not allowed to have anything but that, and you're to be pitied.
Yeah.
You're to be pitied or disdained.
Right.
In the same way that if you're a married couple and you don't have kids, you're to be pitied or disdained.
Oh, that one's funny. Isn't it interesting how certain things just don't, like I get caught by certain conditioning. That one does not touch me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't give a fuck about kids.
It generally doesn't touch me. I'm always surprised, like, oh, you guys having kids? Wow. Oh.
Wow. Good. Well, okay. That's a choice.
Damn. That's a...
wow. Really? You're doing
turn
that?
your life into a blender.
Yep, exactly. Well, say goodbye to all that peace and harmony you had. Yeah, it's funny though, isn't it? Like when you look at like the judgments that the culture holds that hit us and trigger us and the judgments that the culture holds that don't trigger us as individuals, it's all like childhood or whatever, or you're...
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's the things where we think that, oh, that's society doing that to me, but it's also you're receiving that.
Well, it's your history.
You're receiving that criticism.
Your history and your chart. Really?
Yeah. Because I agree. Some criticism hits me and some does not. I'm just like, I don't give a shit.
Right.
Oh, yeah, you think that about me? Whatever.
Okay. Unrelated, I feel the need to say this other thing. Now, this is entertaining. I think we have some juicy shit right here. Get ready because it's about you in a good way.
Oh, boy.
I have a friend.
Who likes me.
Yep.
What? I was joking. We're doing this podcast sex thing again? No, go on.
Okay, I'm going to talk now.
No, but I'm giggling.
This is now the second time out loud someone has said to one of us or both of us, just by listening to his voice on the podcast, oh, how smitten I am. You have a secret admirer again.
That's hilarious.
Meanwhile, as each day passes, I lose more admirers.
You mean by listening to you on the podcast? What do you mean?
Just by me existing and being who I am.
Now, I'm going to question that position. How would you even know? Is that just your general sense? People hate me. Are you doing the people everyone hates me thing?
Kinda.
Come on.
But, well, listen, I've had a few, here's what it really is. I've had a few rejections recently. So they're popping out in my psyche. Plus, like the house buying stress, I'm like, I must be terrible. I'm having a flare of I must be terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the majority, I feel like, I don't know, 70% of me is like, I'm doing great. I love myself. And 30% of me is like, I'm probably terrible. Which, that's huge.
Yeah.
It used to be not in those percentages.
No, that's a big percentage. And that's not what I hear from you generally in terms of like feeling pretty good about the work you've been doing and improving yourself as a human being and all that stuff.
Yeah. But you know how it goes. If you get a few rejections in a row, you start to go, I might just be fucked. I might just never work again if you're an actor.
Mm-hmm. Oh, boy.
Right? Or like, nobody likes me and I'm too old now and I don't look right and whatever it is.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, back to your crush.
Wait. Okay. Fine.
What were you gonna say?
Nothing. I'm a little caught up on that if you feeling like everybody hates you problem.
Okay. You want to hear the rejections I had?
Sure. So we can just say them out loud and get them out onto the space.
Yeah. Let's see. And it's funny that I even frame it that way because one of them is actually me choosing to stop a thing.
Mm-hmm. Is it the thing you left me a message about that I forgot to respond to because I was in the middle of rehearsal?
Yeah. 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 So there's that where I chose.
That's not a rejection though. That is you.
Well,
planting your own flag in your own quality and your own desire for excellence.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? It's like
So like when you're in a show and just take this thought because it related to what we were talking about earlier. When you're in a show and things aren't to your standards and you said like earlier, like that can be intolerable, but there's also the only option you have is to either do your own work better or quit. And quitting is generally not an option, but that's when you're in a finite play. When you're in something that's ongoing and you start to just be like, you know what? I don't think I can be part of this anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's not living up to my own standards. But that's definitely planting a flag in your own sense of worth and quality.
Yes. And I would say too, but it was complex because it's not just that. It was like this particular group and this ongoing thing had a whole system and groups within the group and gatherings and positions to take on. And I wasn't able to fully participate being not close by. So
100%.
It became like I'm this thing that's like dipping its toe into this whole network of a complicated set of things that happen over time. And I'm just not really a part of it. So I was feeling not a part of. And then what I know from like, this is another recovery thing, is they're like, well, if you're not feeling a part of, you have to like do more stuff to be a part of. Like you have to show up and be part of the things and say hi and connect. Or you have to say like, do I want to be a part of? And so that's what got me asking, thinking about it is like, I, at the end of the day, like the difficulties and challenges outweighed the energy it would take to do the things I'd have to do to feel a part of. Mm-hmm. So the self-esteem hit comes for me when I go, I kind of wish I had an easier time feeling a part of things. It'd be nice if I could just like go to this thing, lower my standards, be younger, be peppier, not care about being old. I just want to be able to go with the flow and be what they need me to just fit in, like, that whole thing.
Yeah.
And like, again, knowing my own chart and just knowing what I actually believe in, which is like, you can't fold yourself into a pretzel to fit into a thing you don't actually fit into. And there's ways and pockets I could fit in there. People, individuals, pockets, for sure. And like, I'm definitely overstating it a bit, but this is like an area of trigger for me where I feel like an alien, like an outsider. I'm always outside the thing. I'm never in the thing. And then I go, okay, but you have to like do stuff to be in the thing. But then like when I looked closely at the stuff I'd have to do, I didn't want to do any of that stuff. Mm-hmm. So then I was talking with a friend about it and I was listing all my reasons to keep doing it and all my reasons not. And she said, every reason you have to keep doing it is either fear-based or because you don't want to be a bad girl.
Yep.
And I was like,
I fucking get you.
And I was like, got it. Okay, true. It's true. I'm afraid there won't be another one. I'm afraid I'll never do the blankety blank again. I'm afraid they won't like me and they'll be disappointed and they'll all talk badly about me behind my back.
Right.
By the way, none of that is proven true at all.
Of course not.
I'm afraid there'll never be another opportunity to do the thing. Like, And so then I was like, okay, well, I don't believe in making choices from that kind of fear. And I don't believe in staying to prove I'm a good girl and to be liked. So I made the call and did the thing and told some people the truth. And I have my final one this Friday. And then I'll get to do a lot of hugging and so on and so forth. And what I did was I said, like, I'm going to take 3 months off just to like see if I do actually feel better not making that huge commute and not doing this. And I don't even know if they'd be open to talking to me again in 3 months. But like, that's what I said I was going to do.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I have one question about that. And that is, what do you feel about the idea of just being the invited outsider when needed?
Right.
There's a certain joy in that of like, oh, well, I'm wanted this week because they need me. They trust me to just show up and just fucking do it. I don't have to serve on any committees. I don't have to do any of the other shit. Uh-huh. I just get to drop in because, they need someone to fill in and I get to be the badass.
You mean like you mean like now or before I said I was not anymore?
I don't know. Just as another version of that story.
Oh, I see. Like as a way to hold it now.
Yeah. Or just to not have to it's not like
never.
Well, if I can't give 100%, then I have to give 0%.
Right. Right. That's a good thing. That's a nice idea. I could say that. That could be cool. I mean, I already sent the message that was like, hey, I'm going to take 3 months off. I hope you'll be willing to talk to me in 3 months. I'll understand if you're not. I just can't do the commute and I don't feel I'm committed and I don't want to be half-assing and it doesn't feel right and I don't like how I'm being. So I'm going to just stop for now. And because I haven't gotten a response from the first person, I talked to like other people and they were like, oh no, we'll be sad to leave you. But also like anytime you want to come back, like everybody's been great. That's not like the head honcho. He has just not responded. And I don't know what that means. But yeah, a drop in, sometimes I'd be happy to like poke them and be like, hey, could I drop in after the 3-month period that I stated yeah, that's a great idea. Thank you for that. That way I can.
Or tell them to call you anytime they need to field a team.
Right.
For being as cagey as we can without describing exactly what it is that we're talking about.
So that's number one, is that I was down on myself about feeling like if I were a different kind of person, I could just like roll with the punches, go with it, not be so tired of driving. Like I was just down on myself about it.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then this is embarrassing. This is so embarrassing. Oh man. Oh God. Let me see if I could do another one before that one so I could ease into that one. That's really hard. I think the second one is just what I've already talked about, which is like, I don't like when Eric and I are like at each other, and he doesn't like it either. And we always end up talking about that. Like we both feel just icky when we're not connecting, when we're just like shitty to each other.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel good. So that takes a toll. I think I also like I lost a couple staging jobs, just like it happens all the time, but it happened right when I was like not coming home because Eric might get COVID because you had COVID, and then maybe I had COVID, and then I couldn't come home for like 8 days. And I was trying not to be mad at him about it, but I was mad at him about it. And I like couldn't be in my own damn bed with my own damn rhythms that I like. So I'm like in an Airbnb and then in somebody's house in Sacramento. And it was just like, and then at the same time, this is the really embarrassing one. Oh God, this is like, there's so much irony in this. Okay, so I was a part of, I'm going to be cagey again, but I was a part of a, not Speechless, I'm just going to say that, but a different organization that has actors go in and do role play with corporate people to facilitate difficult feedback conversations.
Right.
So our only job is you show up, you play the role. And in this particular job, they teach you 3 different levels. There's green, which is not very scary, intermediate, yellow, which is like you're a little hard to deal with, and red, which is like you're the worst. And so we would go to this, they were all on Zoom, and we would all meet in this like actor green room and then go to our various feedback scenario situations. So every time we come to the green room, somebody would say something like, man, I really gave it to that guy. I was really a jerk. And like, I kept being like, wow, I feel like they keep asking me to do green or yellow at the most. So I'm just like really gently easing it in and like lubing it up.
Uh-huh.
And I almost felt like, gosh, I'm underdoing my job. Like I should push harder so they have more to learn.
They have to challenge them.
Yeah, I'm a challenger. I'm an 8. Let's be challenging. Well, that was my perception of reality. Then I got asked to not return to that particular company because the real reason is I don't think what they said. In other words, there was a woman who was in charge of the whole thing. There's a lot of context required here. The learners, so let's say we're working for Cisco, which we never did. So all the people who work at Cisco would show up on this Zoom. The person operating the event, running it, let's call her Janine.
It's always Janine.
Always there. Was there. Then they hired coaches from outside of Cisco, not actually Cisco, to come in. They were there on the Zoom. And then the actors. So there's sort of 4 groups of people. People getting trained, the coaches, the actors, and this lady Janine running the thing. And there would be like a 20-minute introduction each time, during which she would say every time, does anyone have any questions? And I probably did 8 of these, 8 of them or something over time. 2 times of those 6 or 8 times when she said, does anyone have any questions? I raised my hand and said, yeah, in order to hop over to the room, do we go back to the green room or I had like a tech question. And the first time I asked a question, she seemed a little weird about it. She was a little like, yeah, you do that. And thank you. Let's move on. And I was like, oh, okay. I thought she was clearly like there was a vibe that was off.
Right.
And I was like, so then when we went in the green room with the actors, I went like, did that seem weird? Was it bad that I asked a question? And then they were all like, I mean, I thought your question was useful. I had the same question. You were just the one to say it out loud. And everybody kind of shrugged their shoulders. She seemed a little like thrown that you would have a question, but she had just asked us if we had any questions. So then somebody said after that to me, like on the text thread, I think that period is just for the learners to ask questions,
right?
Not for us. But this was just an actor with a theory.
Right.
So I heard that as like, Jenny Smith, actor, has a theory about things. So she doesn't know. Like, she's just being a nice lady coming up with a theory, trying to help her friend out. Cut to, I don't know, 3 sessions later, maybe. I do 3 of these. I don't happen to have any questions. And another time she says, does anybody have any questions? And I go, oh, real quick. And it was like a short, easy question. Do we da-da-da or do we da-da-da? And she said, you da-da-da. And then she sent me a private message via like in the chat. This is a period of time for others to ask questions, not you. Refer all your questions to your boss. And I was like, oh, because it was news to me. Like, technically, no, you can't ask any questions as an actor during this time. So my part in this is, after that first time, I should have gone to my boss and been like, is it that like we never can ask questions there? Should I just always ask you? By the way, our boss, not on the scene, not there during these events. So then there's no one to ask. Okay. So I should have, I guess, clarified, but it seemed so innocuous and small to me that I don't know. I just didn't take it. It didn't seem like a big deal in any way. So then we go back in the green room after the second time, and I told everybody the story. I was like, well, I kind of just got smacked on the wrist in the chat because da-da-da. And one of the actors said, that sounds like the facilitator feels nervous that she's being perceived as doing a bad job if the actors have questions. And then I was like, that does sound like that, but why would she feel that way after spending 5 minutes saying, does anybody have questions? No? Anybody? No? No one? Anyone? Bueller? So that's what happened. Mm-hmm. And I thought, okay, well, I guess I just won't ask questions. No more questions for Katie. Got it. Done. But before I got the opportunity to apply that, I got a call from my actual boss who said, hey, I have no feelings about this and I am not upset, just so you know, but like they want me to not ask you back. And he said, on every job, there's usually 1 or 2 of these where the client comes to me and says, like, we're not feeling the vibe with this person. So like, I'm not upset, but just FYI, da-da-da. And I said, oh, wow. Thank you. Is there any feedback you could give me so I could understand? And he said, all the questions they were upset about that you asked questions during the question time.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then he was like, I do think I had said to all you guys, don't ask questions during that time. And I was like, oh, when was that? And he was like, I don't remember. And I was like, I never heard that. Maybe I missed that meeting. He was like, I don't know. I don't care. I don't have any feelings about it. I'm sorry, because I know it was a gig for you, but like, I have to say yes to the client. So whatever. And then he said, also, they felt like sometimes your performances were too challenging for the clients. Now I'm telling you, I know I am challenging. But I was like on a 2 out of 10 of what I could bring.
You were softballing it.
So I really my theory is this woman really didn't like that I think she thought she looked bad. I think she was a 2 or a 3, and I threatened her image by asking questions in a time that she felt made her look like she wasn't doing a good job. That is kind of that was her sort of MO. There's
the challenging part about the client thing, the third party client too, where it's like your boss can be like, well, I'm neutral on it, except I'm not, because I'm not backing you. I'm just doing what the client asks.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway,
even though the client is actually wrong, but you know,
I think it's one of those things too, that like at the end of the day, it's her world. I'm just a contractor. I should have just done what we were supposed to do. I just really had a misunderstanding about what the rules were. And had it seemed like a real high stakes thing, I just would have, I don't know, done something different, checked in after the first time. But it really seemed like that can't be a thing. Like, it can't be that like she's silently waiting for anyone to ask a question and I actually have one. And that's bad. Like, that can't be right. Because the only reason that would be a thing is if she was so worried about how she looked that it seemed to people which nobody cares about. Nobody cared. The actors were happy I asked because it clarified for them.
Yeah.
So I couldn't believe that, like, actually that would be a reason, which brings me back to that thing we read about 8s. Do you remember that a couple weeks ago on here where it was like, hey, 8, keep in mind, other people's experience is different than yours.
Right.
And that matters. And I sometimes go, right. That seems pretty basic. But
yeah, but the challenge of that is that because other people's experience, often it's like we as aides or whatever, I'm not an aide, but still, but we as humans, it's really helpful for us to expand our compassion space by understanding that other people's experience is different than ours. But the challenging thing is when someone else's experience is different than yours and it affects you because of that. Like this woman's experience of what was going on is different than yours, but because of that, you take a hit.
Yeah.
And that's frustrating. That's hard. I think that's not, like I'm thinking about something that happened at Feet First, where we have an ongoing gig. Every year we do this one particular conference.
Yeah.
And one of our facilitators was doing a game one time where we have them like run to the center and show us a picture on their phone, of a particular category.
Yeah.
And this person showed a shirtless selfie, and our person played it through. Oh, yeah, okay, that's a shirtless selfie or something. It was a guy, but still.
Okay. Yeah.
But somehow the organizer was like, he asked for people to show naked pictures of themselves.
Oh, boy.
And guess who literally is never allowed to do that ongoing conference gig again?
That's fucked up.
Because he's directly asked not to. And he's our best person. He's the nicest person. He's the least inappropriate person, frankly, of all of our facilitators. But because of this person's perception of what occurred.
Right.
Which is unquestionable because they're the client.
Right. Yep.
I mean, he didn't lose his job because of it. He just lost that
Thank
gig.
God.
Let's put him on a different gig. But still, it's just frustrating to be like, but I have no say in this because we're not going to argue with the person who gets to say no.
Right. Thank you for that. Yeah. That's my main sort of frustration about the situation is like, had there been a direct conversation with me, the irony is we were on a job that's about having difficult feedback conversations. Exactly. And they were too afraid to have a conversation with me or just unwilling, which they're allowed to be. But it would have been very simple to say like, hey, real quick, you might have missed the memo. We're not taking actor questions. Please don't ask any. Oh, I would have been like, my bad. Thank you.
Simple, done.
Also, we're getting some feedback that people are afraid of you. Gentle, please, in the role play, which I'm honestly, between you and me, think she made that up to have a justification because I've never been gentler. I don't even know what to tell you. I was like, if you want it gentler than that, I may as well be sleeping. Anyway, so how about just a quick convo? But nope, she just wanted me out. And that sucks. And I felt bad. It hit my esteem a little. It did.
So I can see how those things stacking up feel like a rejection of you in general. Like,
yeah,
even though one of them was your choice, but now you are maybe feeling like people have a feeling about you that you don't want them to have.
It's more like I feel like an outsider and why can't I be normal came up. Okay.
Yeah.
But I can't. So what are you going to do?
No. I mean, you're literally an outsider based on
location,
circumstance and location.
Yep.
It's not personal.
Right.
But I understand the feeling. And if those start to stack on each other, or you're having challenges with your partner who you absolutely adore.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, why do we have to have these challenges? We shouldn't have these challenges because we adore each other.
If I were just different, if I were gentler, if I were... Oh, and then the last one is this one was interesting because it didn't trigger me the way you might think, but it was hard, and it was hard anyway. Okay. I had a student in class really get triggered in a way where all my clients in the class, the other clients were like, wow, she was really triggered. Like they could tell it was about her, but she got so triggered that she threw her telephone at the computer and screamed at me, "What's wrong with you? Why can't you just be nice?" And threw the phone. I'm not laughing at her in case she's listening. I'm just laughing at like, it was so over the top that it was like out of a movie. It was like watching a movie of somebody kind of being triggered. Okay. So in the moment, I'm going to pat myself on the back a little. I did a pretty damn good job. I stayed just really calm and was like, okay, so we're going to de-escalate now. And I de-escalated and gave everybody else space to process a little and let her use that trigger in the processing session. And it went well in the room as well as it could go after that. So I was proud of myself for that. But afterwards, like the amount of venom coming at me was really high. And of course, because she was triggered, she believed it was because of me. And she said as much. And again, it's a situation where I'm like, yeah, I definitely didn't cause that one. She's just real mad and needs to be mad at me. Like she just needed some direction it's really about like her childhood. But anyway, and I even had said like, well, I'm sorry, hun, that it landed that way. I definitely didn't mean that, but I do apologize if I said it in a way that felt that way. And I said that in front of the whole group. That wasn't enough. Fuck you. I don't know why people are terrible and you're part of it. I mean, just really at me, right? So I handled it well. We wrapped up. Since then, she has emailed me and apologized. And I can't believe I spoke that way. And I want to do a session so we can work it through. And she's just really gotten like, I've blown up at you like this before. I hope you'll have me back. Like she really got it after, But in the time between when it happened and when she emailed me, it was hard because that hasn't happened in a long time in my practice where someone's like that injured and that reactive and that hurt that they have to react that way to feedback or a moment or whatever. So it kind of like, have you ever had somebody scream at you? Yeah, it's like it reverberated. It doesn't feel great.
It fucks you up. It's not good. It's bad.
It was rough. And so it didn't feel good. And then I was like, 24 hours later, I was like, yeah, I'm really okay because I really have looked at all sides of this and I didn't do anything wrong. And she's just having a hard time. And I have a lot of empathy for her. I get how much pain you have to be in and I've been there when I was in healing school. She's in her equivalent of me in my first year of healing school. I had some times where, it was different than that, but it was like that level of rage was there and it would come out during healing sessions and I'd find myself screaming about the past and whatever. So like, I get it, but I never directed it at a person out loud in front of a group just because I was afraid to. So all of that at the same time has just been like, wow, again, 70% of me is like, no, I'm okay. Everything's okay. But it doesn't feel great.
Do you think, though, that we have cycles of this?
Yes.
I definitely feel like when it happens, when it rains, it pours. But
yes.
Where I'll be like, well, everything is hitting all those low marks.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything hits all the high marks at the same time. And you're like, we could sprinkle those all in all directions. I'd be okay with that. I'd be a little more Prozac. Can I just be a little more in the middle? I'd love to not be like, no one likes me. I'll never work again. Everything sucks. And then, oh my God, I'm most adored and I'm killing it and I'm hitting those marks and everything's great.
1,000,000%. I mean, honestly, for me, that's where I come back to like transits and astrology. Like the planets do things and they have themes. So for example, let's say you're working with Pluto and it's about death and transformation.
Uh-huh.
You're going to get triggered 8 ways from Sunday so that you can a specific part of you that needs to die can die and be reborn.
Yeah.
So of course, the theme, all the things on that one topic come up. Or if it's, if it's Neptune or if it's Pluto or if it's Uranus or whatever the influence is, and in the human design language, it would be like, gate whatever is activated because the transits are doing this in your chart, but your partner's gate 7 is activated because of the same transit. So now you hate each other. And none of it has anything to do with anything that's like how you actually feel, but the transits fucking are real. And I've had this idea for a long time of like, it'd be very cool to be like a weather reporter about the transits. Like I could have a show.
We have a high of Neptune being angry at the moon, but it's going to cause...
I mean, to be fair, that's what astrologers do. Anybody who has a social media presence, they're going to be like, today, this is what's happening, Anyway.
Hey, what's up? Rami's Rules. Whoop, Rami here. This is my second recording today. So, of course, you're hearing these out of time. Anyway, on this day, I am flying to Europe. Also, yesterday was the day that Trump was found guilty on all counts. Anyway, what I wanted to say was this morning, 2 different friends of mine sent me audio recordings of birdsong that they were hearing and thought of me and, recorded and sent to me. 2 different friends. Today is this day, whatever, but that's what happened. And then one of my friends was telling me that he just learned that human beings are biologically wired to relax when hearing birdsong. The reason why is because birdsong is a sign that there aren't any predators nearby. Rami's rules.
I wonder about, so if we, lost my train of thought. That becomes then the usefulness of transits and human design and all these things, not as the determinancy of them, but almost like a way of being able to contextualize or at least ameliorate the intensity of.
Correct.
So if you're feeling like, what the fuck? I quit this thing and we're fighting and my client's mad at me and I lost this job.
Yep.
That's the permanent state of me right now.
Right.
And then instead of, okay, you know what? Look at this. Me and this person right now are experiencing this gate in this channel. This thing, well, that's clearly Neptune's pushing on the moon's door, making shit up because I don't know these words. And it's not so much that it excuses it. It's still happening and it's still real, but it makes it be like, yes, experience these things. Yes, feel my feelings, but not this is the permanent state of always for me now.
Right. And you could say, oh,
this is not the totality of me.
Because this transit or this thing is occurring in the universe, it's activating this thing that was there for me, but was sitting there dormant and is now activated so that I can work with it and learn from it and grow. But it's not going to last forever. And B, as long as I work with it and learn from it and grow from it, I don't have to be afraid of it or resist it. Because like you say, it's going to pass. This too shall pass. But what's challenging is if we go, oh, it's the astrology, it's the transits, it'll pass, and then just like don't learn anything from it, that transit will come again.
Yeah. So it'd be great if you work through it now so it isn't there to be activated next time.
Or so that we know what to do next time and it's not so painful.
Well, my flip of that, and maybe it's the valley and the peak.
Yeah.
Shall we shift? Is it okay to shift?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And that is, so as we said earlier, I had COVID a couple weeks ago, came up at a bad time in the middle of rehearsal and it sucked. And I was much sicker this time than I was the first time. And I was really unhappy. And in fact, the day I thought I was getting better, which was Thursday, my birthday, was actually turned out to be the worst day where I got the most sick. And I was having like shakes and peaks and valleys of temperature. And everything went wrong. Like I ordered a burrito as of like, my treat, really from a place I like, and it's going to be good. And my housemate went and picked it up for me and delivered it to my door. And it tasted like a salt shaker. And I was like, oh, they fucked up this burrito. Turned out the next day when I ordered a burger, it also tasted like a salt shaker. And then I read that salt sensitivity can be one of the side effects. Rather than loss of taste, you can just get very salty. So I was like, great. That's fine. But still, so the burrito sucked. Didn't even finish it. Ate like half of it. I'm like, fuck this thing. Feel like shit. I've got the shakes. I had to cancel my plans for that night that I was going to do with you and some other friends. And I really wanted to do. And I was very excited about. And the dumbest thing was that there's this one New York Times game called Connections that I do every day. And I always get it. Sometimes it's a little struggle to get it.
Right.
And that day I failed.
Oh, no.
And it was like, well, this day officially sucks. I failed Connections.
Oh, no.
And it was just the bottom of the shit day. And then everything got better the next day. Started to get better. I started to feel better and everything was fine. And my taste took a little while to come back and went back to rehearsal. And then, and then everything goes on the upslope, right? Because since then, like everything seems to be hitting for me right now. Like I'm hitting all the little beats. Like I had a great conversation with a director who basically offered me a role in a show after she and I just had talked about wanting to work together. someone I've not worked with in the past, but we both admire each other. And it's exciting to just be like, hey, we're going to do this thing. It's not inked yet, but it's pretty solid.
Great.
And it's just like, that feels good. That feels so validating. It wasn't an audition. It was like, I respect you, you respect me. Let's create art together. Like, fuck yeah, that feels good.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And then I'm just going to brag on myself because
please do.
I don't do it very often. I don't know if you read it, but that little blurb that was in the paper.
No.
Oh my God. So I'll get choked up just reading this. And this is me. I'm going to talk good shit about me right now. I had a little blurb about our show that's coming up that I'm doing.
Okay.
It was like a preview blurb in the Chronicle, but it focused on me. And it was in the Chronicle. And it was, first off, the headline was Consummate Clown Crowns Spark Theater's 12th Night.
Oh.
Which already was like, oh my God, thank you. But that could have been written by our publicist, and they just sent them that, and they took it and ran with it.
Okay.
But really, Lily Janiak, who's the main critic and writer of theater for the Chronicle.
Yeah.
Then wrote, she clearly wrote this because this is not something, she said, at Spark Theater, formerly known as Livermore Shakespeare Festival, this consummate schlemazel is played by Cassidy Brown, a comic actor of such precision and thoughtfulness that his body language could have its own dictionary.
Oh.
And I was like, that's probably the nicest thing anyone has ever said about me as a performer. Like, clearly stated in print, like, it's exactly what I want to be thought of as an actor, like physical comedy, it's precise. And that just like, of course, they give me a big ego boost. I love seeing my name in print. I respond to that very well. Even if it's negative, I don't care. They paid attention to me.
Yeah.
Matters. But this one, so at first I was like, careful. That could make you go like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm awesome, and just settle into that. But instead it actually was like, oh, motherfucker, you better live up to that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Step to that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be lazy. Don't sit down. Don't rest on that at all. In fact, it's the opposite. It's you better not be that.
Yeah, for sure.
So it kind of helped to like goose me in my own work to live up to that statement. So that was really cool.
Nice.
But so right now I'm on a little bit of everything is coming up Millhouse. Simpsons joke.
Yeah.
Wait, there was one other thing that went along with that. I don't know what it was, but so calling out.
Well, you were talking about cycles. Like, do things happen in groups?
And then it turns out someone has a crush on me. So I guess that's the other.
Okay, we haven't even gone there.
That's how we got started with this whole thing.
Yep.
All right, what did you want to say about that?
I think I just wanted you to know. Because the person is, nobody nobody nearby.
Okay.
Not available, not looking to like actually do anything about it, but like is a delightful human that I know and love, and just know that there's a human woman
that admires me
out there crushing on you hard and like listening in to just hear more you. Yay.
I don't know what to say. I'm just getting a little sheepish and embarrassed. Thank you for telling me. That's good. No, I'm actually in a place right now where I'm needing and getting.
That's nice.
That sort of thing. Like I actually need that. I need to hear those things, but I'm also getting to hear those things rather than being like, oh, stop it. I don't know. Oh, I'm embarrassed that you said that. It's more like, good. Okay, good. I'm in the right space, doing the right things.
Meanwhile, some of us are going through menopause, looking chunkier than ever. Our bodies are breaking down and everyone hates us. Thank you for being here today.
Also, right. Let's return to that because that shit, you know that what you're saying is both true and totally not true, right?
What's not true?
Not everybody hates you. In fact, nobody hates you. Some people might be not into you at the moment because of their shit.
Okay. I'll take it.
That's really, let's be honest, that thing with that work thing, that's 100% somebody's position was threatened by your existence and needed to have a scapegoat in the same way that your client was triggered by you. Like that wasn't you doing the triggering. Their thing was set off by that. someone gets caught in that. I hate that, watching that happen. See it in rehearsals sometimes where you're like, oh, the director is just feeling like that actor needs to be the punished every day, and they don't deserve it. And
like the whipping boy or the scapegoat.
The scapegoat. Nobody's really doing anything wrong, but that's not happening in my show. Just if you're listening, I'm not saying that that's occurring.
Yeah.
But I've seen it for sure.
Yeah.
It's unfair, but it also is just like, oh, that person fell into that slot for now.
Right. Totally.
And you exist in that slot for this particular client lady.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the hardest one, it's funny, I just said it right now because I wasn't adding it in my mind to the group of things that have been hard. But this menopause shit, and where your body is like, I'm going to go ahead and throw 20 pounds of chub on top of what you're already carrying just to fuck with you a little more. Because already as a woman, you might be going through some stuff. Let's just ramp it up because you're not 20.
Is it menopause, or is it what we call perimenopause? I don't know much of the difference, but I've just been hearing more talk about perimenopause lately. So
yeah, who can say?
Yeah,
I don't know.
But perimenopause just means early menopause, right? It just means like the first.
The word peri, or the prefix, whatever that's called, means around. So like it's like you're easing up on it, and you're starting to have symptoms.
So it's the beginnings of menopause, right?
It means around. So like, yeah, the beginnings. So like, but you can have perimenopausal stuff like coming out of menopause. So yeah, I'm just having hormonal ups and downs that are new, and I've really watched my body. Like I eat the same as I used to, and it just now it looks how it just does other stuff. And then like it's messing with I got like a cholesterol thing where it's like you have high cholesterol, you got to stop it. And I'm like, man, again, but okay. And I'm taking it seriously because like my mother had a heart attack and my dad has strokes. And now that I say all this shit out loud, I'm like, I should be more upset.
Well, and from what I gather, this is just me paying attention, not having the experience myself, obviously. Your perception of the intensity of those things is amplified because of the hormones, and the thing itself feels far more overwhelming. It's a fucking 1-2 punch. It's an unfair 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
Deal with this and deal with this.
Yeah. It's
kind of like being on your period all the time, or being pre-period all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. The hormones are rough. So I'm meeting with with Lisa today, my witch doctor friend, who is going to help me. Did you know, here's the useful thing for our listeners, excuse me, that cholesterol levels can be thrown off by hormone imbalances.
I believe it. In
other words, your cholesterol can come up high if your progesterone is off.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. And she told me that. And I was like, oh, it was actually a cool moment here. This is a cool thing to talk about. So I get this. I did some labs, some blood work. The doctor emails me, hey, your LDL, the bad cholesterol, quote, is higher than we like. So here's some articles to read about like what foods to eat and not eat. And, think about maybe getting on statins and this whole thing. I'm not kidding. Like within 5 minutes of my getting that news, I get a text from Lisa, witch doctor, woo-woo wizard person. She says, I think you should make another appointment. I said, why? Does it have to do with my heart and my cholesterol? And she writes back, yes, but heart and cholesterol can be a result of hormones being off, which is what you've been saying for months now. Every time you come in my office, I think my hormones are off. Out of nowhere, she texted me, you should make another appointment. And I asked her, is it because of heart and cholesterol? Yes. And then I was like, where'd you get this? And she was like, literally last night, because I had just had a session with her. I'm in my bed and I got awakened by awareness for you, kind of like I get. She and I are quite similar with information stuff. She's like, they woke me up and it was like, have Katie come back. She needs to fix her hormones, cholesterol, heart stuff. Wow. And then I wrote, am I going to have a heart attack this weekend? Because I'm feeling pretty neurotic right now. She was like, let me check. And then I see the little dots.
Like, come on, wait.
The dots in the text. ... And I'm like, bitch. She's like, no, I don't think so. And I was like, cool. Okay, see you Monday, I guess.
Oh man.
So that's what's been happening.
That's a lot.
I guess it is, isn't it? I'm surprised by how, again, if I feel 30% thrown, that's really like pretty fucking good. But I'd like a little upswing, please. Universe, hear me now. I would like a Cassidy Brown level upswing in goodness. Let's upswing it.
Be good.
I'm ready for the upswing.
Without the COVID trigger.
No, I've had plenty of triggers.
You've had the COVID.
Let's just swing it up.
Wait, just check.
Yeah.
Check right now with yourself. What is the thought of vitamin D? And I don't mean dick.
Oh.
I don't mean dick. I mean vitamin D.
Uh-huh.
This is one where this is purely anecdotal, but I was having some this is some years ago. I was having some emotional and physical and panicky energies and stuff going on. And my doctor at the time was like, your D levels are incredibly low. I'm going to give you I
think I remember this.
A horse pill level of vitamin D. Yeah.
Right.
And it really helped. And from then on, I take vitamin D every day, and I take more when I feel like I want to. Now, my dad, I think it's okay to share this. I will. He was having some pretty significant, and they were even cognitive issues a little bit. And it was starting to worry him, worry all of us. And then he just fixed his D levels.
Huh.
And boom.
All right, I'm going to write this down.
Because D affects hormones. It is actually a hormonal interactor.
Wow.
And it can affect mood. It can affect cognition. It can it's this weird miracle vitamin that's super cheap and easy to get.
Yep.
And I mean, I'm not going to just prescribe it for people because I don't fucking know.
Yep.
But
I'm writing it down.
I would just check that with your own self or your people, just to be like, should I load up on some D? And I don't mean dick, and maybe also some dick.
The dick thing, you might be onto something there.
You also could use some dick, is what you're saying.
Kind of. Yesterday, Eric was very sweetly, I was passing out, and he sometimes, he's very cute. I'll pass out in the living room when we're watching TV, and then 2 a.m. comes around, and I groggily get the dog and take us both to bed, and he'll sometimes follow me in there and just tuck me in. It's very cute. And he was in there tucking me in, and he was kind of rubbing my legs. He was just petting my legs. And I was like, oh man, physical touch, And he was like, I've heard physical touch from the penis to the vagina can really lower cholesterol levels.
He's not wrong.
He's probably not. And then we laughed, and then he goes, but actually in a real way, touching is good for bodies and for heart regulate. We should touch more. And I was like, good point.
Well, actual sex, I am sure, affects releases of hormones. 100% positive that is true. Don't know if they're the right ones. I don't know what their balance is, but there is a hormonal interaction between sex and not sex.
All right, everybody. So today's takeaway: bone more for better cholesterol levels and be Cassidy Brown in your next lifetime.
At least Cassidy Brown in the latter half of June.
Great. Of 2024.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm into it.
The one thing I didn't do, and but I don't need it because it was my birthday, and I didn't really do a birthday card turn or birthday I Ching. I usually do something like that for my birthday, and I'm just oh.
Well, and we're doing that thing Thursday night for your birthday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe we could do something then?
Sure, that'd be great, because I am taking a mulligan on my birthday. My birthday now started last Friday instead of the previous Thursday.
I'm into it.
I had lots of meat.
Meat?
Meat.
Okay.
We started at a meat place and had a ton of meat.
Oh, okay.
Black Star Barbecue in Point Richmond. We had lunch.
Oh, nice.
For my birthday, and it was good and very
okay. So all of the listeners who have a crush on Cassidy, please send us emails with birthday wishes and mail, in the actual mail, ideally packages of meat to honor and celebrate Cassidy's birthday.
And vitamin D that we will pass on to Katie.
Both forms.
Both forms.
Thank you.
You mean D pics?
Balloons.
Balloons.
I gotta go.
Okay, fine.
I love you.
Have a wonderful time. I love you. I hope everything goes uphill from here in the right way.
Thanks.
Love you to pieces.
I'm gonna get some cholesterol drugs. Okay, bye.
Go do your work. Bye.
What are you asking for? All of the answers? Say what? All of the answers? Yeah, all the answers.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. We'd love to hear from you. Please email us with your questions so that we have questions to answer in the Akashic Records. Our email address is allanswerspod@gmail.com. That's allanswerspod@gmail.com. And if you'd like to find us on Facebook or Twitter, it's @allanswerspod, @allanswerspod. Thank you.
So overexposure. Now, you're not going to get overexposure vitamin D from sunlight. You will get overexposure vitamin D from supplementation. So what happens is this. You get stones, bones, abdominal moans, and psychic groans.
Mixed and edited by Desmond McNeese for We Mixed It, LLC. Go to whatsoundsawesome.com.
Stones, bones, abdominal moans, and psychic groans.